Today's exploration starts close to where we finished last time, at Midhurst in Sussex. We'll then look at two sites in southwest Surrey, and then finish off in East Kent at a site just southwest of Deal. The Cowdray estate comprises some 16,500 acres of land around Midhurst in West Sussex. The estate was purchased in the early 20th century by Wheatman Pearson, later 1st Viscount Cowdray. A flying field was established in the 1930s by his grandson, the 3rd Viscount, Wheatman John Pearson. In 1941, the Admiralty requisitioned the flying field, along with land to the north, to build a satellite aerodrome to HMS Daedalus. Fleet Aerial aircraft such as the Walrus, Swordfish, Albacore and Sea Otter were stored and serviced at the site. It was normal for ship-borne aircraft to have folding wings, and the Admiralty made most of this useful feature at Midhurst. Instead of erecting hangars, 25 Dutch barns were erected around the site to house the folded aircraft. The airfield was in continuous use from late 1941 until September 1945, when it was closed and paid off by the Admiralty. Today the site is used as a polo field and can be easily viewed from the public lane to the north. Two of the Admiralty Dutch barns can still be found on site, and a plaque marks the airfield's activities during the Second World War. Ramster Hall at Ramsnest in Surrey was built in the Elizabethan era. In 1922 it was bought by Sir Henry Norman, Baronet. Having been a journalist for many years, Sir Henry later became a Member of Parliament and served on several public bodies. During the First World War, Sir Henry was the Munition Inventions Department Permanent Attaché to the French Ministry of Inventions. He also chaired the Imperial Wireless Telegraphy Committee of 1920, advocating a complete wireless scheme for the Empire, and was also heavily involved in the planning for what would become the successful transatlantic flight of Alcock and Brown in 1919. The landing ground at Ramster Hall was only available to AA members in emergencies. It was mainly used by Sir Norman's son, Nigel, who had learnt to fly with 601 Millionaires Squadron at Hendon in 1926. Nigel Norman formed Airwork Limited in 1928 and went on to build Heston Airport. He also formed Norman and Dorbarn with architect Graham Dorbarn, and they designed several airports throughout the British Isles. Incidentally, Nigel Norman had 3 sons, one of whom, Desmond, we came across in the last episode about Bembridge Airport. Sir Henry Norman died in 1939. Nigel Norman became the 2nd Baronet, but himself was killed in a flying accident at St Evell in 1943. Today, Ramster Hall still belongs to descendants of Sir Henry's 2nd wife, and the flying field has returned to agriculture. Witley Park in Surrey was constructed by James Whittaker Wright, an enormous confidence trickster, probably an inspiration for Bernard Madoff. As well as an extravagant mansion, there was an enormous folly comprising 3 artificial ponds with an underwater ballroom, which still survives to this day. Pleasingly, Whittaker Wright eventually committed suicide. By the 1930s, the estate was owned by Sir John Lee, Baronet. Sir John had a fine flying field laid out to the east of Witley Park. Notably, Sir John Lee was MP for Clapham from 1922 to 1945, but not once did he take part in any debate in the House of Commons chamber. Flying field was used by CWA Scott's flying displays in April 1936. The airstrip was certainly in use until the early 1980s, and the site remains today as pasture land, although the inevitable development is beginning to encroach. I first became aware of the Witley airstrip in the 1980s when I had a ride in an Aronca sedan from nearby Midhurst farm. The tattered remains of a windsock still hung from a pole. In 2019, the airstrip site came up for sale, including the hangar, but I don't believe it was sold as an airstrip. Such things are way beyond the means of an impecunious enthusiast in an ancient Aronca C3, but one can daydream. Deal is a small coastal town on the east side of Kent. The field was available for use by pilots from early 1933 until the outbreak of the Second World War. No AA permit was needed, nor was a charge made for its use. There was no hangar or facilities of any kind, and the site has reverted to agricultural use. There's still an airstrip on the same farm, just to the northwest of the old AA landing ground. In 2021, there was a proposal to build a new airstrip, just a few hundred yards northwest of the present one at Little Mongham. The proposal was not supported by the local MP, who said it was inappropriate. Silly girl doesn't know her history. And pilots were likened to Nazis, and there was a very vicious anti-aviation campaign. My thoughts on the matter are best displayed by Sir Winston Churchill. Thanks for watching.